Hey guys, welcome back. What is up? So today, now this is going to be a little bit longer one, so if you're watching right now, you should kind of buckle up. Um, I should have done this video a while ago. This is going to be about, well, this is in tandem with my previous video about free-to-play characters. This is going to be about characters that you should build as a free-to-play support and or leadership. Now, there are going to be a couple that I touch on that, well, I'm going to try to tell you the ones to avoid and which ones are actually worth building. But this is going to be a little bit, so without further ado, let's just go ahead and dive right on in. So first, a couple honorable mentions. They are free-ish. And that would be Valkyrie. Let me put her in her base look just so that you guys can see that this is still applicable. So her leadership isn't really good, but her tier 2 passive is amazing. So increased damage dealt to supervillains, decreased damage received. That's, so it's really all right here. Now, should you get her uniform, I believe that goes up a little bit. Yeah. So increased damage dealt by 50, decreased damage received by 25, and ignore targets dodge rate. So just like most other characters, she is better if you get the uniform, but she is still usable if you get her without the uniform. And she's also able to be transcended, meaning you can take her as a support into Null, into Danger Room Extreme. Now, when I say free-ish, and I will say the same thing, Nick Fury is another one. I mentioned this in a previous video, that you can actually get them from the Epic Quests. Now, I actually purchased Nick Fury from here, so it won't actually show you. I'm going to go to the Ant-Man and the Wasp one to show you what I'm talking about, because I do not have 6-star Ghost. Acquire. So for 2,500 crystals, you'll get a 6-star, whichever one it's actually offering you. You can get Valkyrie from the Thor Ragnarok one. You can get Nick Fury from the Captain Marvel one. And if you can manage to save up the crystals, they are both very good supports. Nick has lost a little bit of value just because he doesn't have a Transcendence or a Tier 3 available. So you can only take him into, you can use GBR, you can do World Boss Ultimate, but not World Boss Legend. He has lost a little bit of value, but he is still very, very good. And also, Nick Fury's uniform doesn't add as many buffs. There you are. So 50% increase of all attacks, that's just his straight leadership. All hero allies get super armor, all defense, and increased damage dealt to supervillains. Now, if you put his uniform on, it's still 50%. And it goes up to 55%. So you don't really have to get his uniform to really make use out of the character. Plus, he's one of those that I just like how he looks anyway. Another one who is free-ish to play is White Fox, and she is 100% worth getting, even if you do not get the uniform. So her passive, Cameo Stance, so increased damage dealt to supervillains by 60%. Unfortunately, this isn't everybody, this is allies with leadership. And also she has a good, the leadership tag, but her leadership itself does also have a good effect here. Increase all debuffs by 40%. Basically, if you have fire resist down, all defense down, something like that, she just buffs that and makes it hit harder. Once again, just like Nick Fury, she does not have a tier 3 or awakening, so her value has fallen off since World Boss Legend became important, but she's still very, very good and very usable. As you can see, I do not have a uniform equipped, so these abilities are still applicable. Now, you might be wondering who are the leaderships. You actually have quite a few. So you have Sentry, you have Sharon Rogers, who she's absolutely good for Sharon Rogers. You have Daredevil, Luna Snow, Winter Soldier, Ghost Rider, Beta Ray Bill. You have Warpath, but you have Professor X, you have Cable. There's Falcon, Captain America, Falcon, very, very good. Blue Marvel, he's not that free to play, but still. You have War Machine, Cersei. You have a lot of these characters. And Wave, once again, free-ish. You can get her through the Heroic Quest. It does take 750 crystals. I haven't done it yet. I will eventually. But her ability, so her leadership tag isn't that great at the moment. She does give Namor 60% increase. So that applies whether he has his base look or his Phoenix 5 uniform, which makes him a villain. But her passive, so for hero allies, increased damage dealt by 40%, decreased damage received. She's not bad. Now, if you had Namor in his base look, or if he gets a uniform in the future, which a lot of us are thinking that he will, so she can provide a lot of support to somebody like Namor. As of right now, she herself is really not that good. You don't have to get her unless you really like the uniform, or you like unless you really like the character, or if you just have a compulsion to collect, which is kind of why I'm going to do it. But otherwise, she's not bad, but you don't have to do it right now. Now, moving on, some of the other ones, a couple other ones that I have an asterisk on is, so Green Goblin with his Iron Patriot armor. This is an asterisk because he is a free-to-play character, but this does cost crystals. But should you get this? For Dark Avenger allies, so we're talking Sentry, we're talking Moonstone, we're talking Bullseye with the Hawkeye uniform, we're talking Ares. This applies to all of them, as well as his leadership. So he's a great lead and a good support, but you do need crystals. And lastly, for your free-ish, these are asterisks, is the Defenders. So unfortunately, these abilities do not apply without this uniform. So Iron Fist, 60% increase to all Defenders. Luke Cage, I believe this one is on his uniform passive. Ignores dodge rate by 35%, which is not bad. Plus he himself is, a pretty tanky character. And Jessica Jones. I don't think hers is on her uniform passive, but let's see. Okay, 50% increase to all attacks, and become immune to mind damage. The mind damage really doesn't help that much, but the all attack is definitely a good buff. Plus, I think that her uniform passive, I think, gives them a heal. Yeah. Now, they have to have their HP pretty low, but she does. So the Defenders actually have very good synergy. But all three of those are uniforms. You have to have those, or the effects don't work. So, moving on, that's everybody that I have an asterisk on, so everybody else is going to be free to play, 100%. First of all, I do want to point out Groot, Baby Groot specifically. Baby Groot, this is a, wait, did I pass him? No, I didn't. This uniform is completely for gold. So you do not have to spend crystals on his uniform. The main thing about him is that when you use him as a striker in World Boss or World Boss Ultimate, or World Boss Ultimate or World Boss Legend, he does drop little healing, not blobs per se. I don't really know what they are. They're like little plants, but they heal you. Venom does it too, but Venom does it on his War of the Realms look, which is currently his newest uniform, and also his anti-Venom look. So you could buy either of them, but if you're gonna buy it and they both cost crystals, just get this one. Well, anti-Venom is cheaper, but just get this one. It's better. He's a better standalone character, and he drops healing blobs, and he's much more consistent about that than Baby Groot is. But alright, so enough of that. So we'll go ahead and get to the ones who are actually completely free to play. So, a couple of niche ones that I want to talk about. So, Red Hulk and Satana have a fire damage leadership. Without the uniform, it is 60%. With the uniform, it goes up to 70%. This is really good for somebody like Ghost Rider, for Mephisto if you build him up. Human Torch would be another good one. Anyone who deals fire damage, he can make their damage spike. Satana is another good one. Unfortunately, she's semi-premium, but you can farm her from the Doctor Strange Epic Quest. Doesn't cost anything. The only thing you might do is if you wanted to use rank up tickets to kind of skip a few steps. But honestly, I don't think that she's good enough, and I don't recommend doing that. Couple other ones. So you have a few leaderships like Sin, who is... She gets like a 24% all attack, which is really not that good. But it's just more about the fact that she has a very rare typing as a combat or a speed villain. So when you come up against that in ABX, sometimes she can be the best leadership. She was my best leadership until I picked up Zemo and I got his uniform, who by the way is premium. It's not that good, but sometimes you have to work with what you get. Ancient One is definitely a good leadership and support, whether male or female. The uniform is available for gold, so I recommend picking that up because it makes them more flexible. You can use them in certain stages when a male is required. You can use them in others when a female is required. Plus, he is a phenomenal striker because they have a cleansing circle. So basically, if you get hit by a poison cloud but you're in the circle, it may take that initial hit, that damage, but you won't get the residual damage. A couple of ones that you'll use earlier on, but they kind of drop off, is Warwolf and Ulysses Claw. So, Warwolf, where are you? I passed him. There you are. Increase crit damage by 30% and increase crit rate. Plus, you can also do that again when you use him as a leadership. Now, this is good earlier on. Once you start getting more stats on your cards, you really will stop using him. But if you do need that additional crit rate and crit damage, he is definitely good to have around. I think another one, and I actually forgot to put him on my list here, is Goliath. Let me check his 45% increased physical attack. I definitely forgot to put him on the list. So that's a good stat bump. A couple of ones that you can build, but they're really not necessary. So there is Lash, there's Moon Girl, there is Lizard. These characters will give you 30% increase, sometimes to physical attack, sometimes all attack, sometimes it is energy attack. Lash, I think, is energy attack. Lizard is 30%, I believe physical attack. But the thing is, you can use them if you have to, but they're not the best. If you're going to do that, then you're better off to get somebody like War Machine, like Winter Soldier, like Captain Marvel. They all give a 30% increase, but they themselves are better characters. So let's just say that you're working on a budget and you want an okay leadership, so you start building Winter Soldier. Now you don't have crystals to get his uniform. That's okay. You'll still get that 30% all attack. When you get his crystals, you can make him a usable character. Same thing applies with Captain Marvel. especially with her new villain uniform. That gives her very rare typing. The same thing will apply with War Machine, because we are less than a week out from his uniform, and we're like 90% sure that he is 100% getting a tier 3. Let's see, a couple other ones. So Bishop gives a good leadership. Domino, Scarlet Spider, who I've mentioned before. Black Bolt is an interesting one. We're already at 15 minutes. I knew this was going to be long. So if you go to his base look, you have a 30% increased energy attack. If you get this uniform, which I think they demoted, and I think it's gold now, still 30%, still 30%, but for Inhuman allies, it's now 65%. So he is a phenomenal self-lead. There's not a lot of good Inhumans at the moment, but I do expect that to change. If nothing else, we know that Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, or Kamala, honestly, I'm not really sure how you're supposed to pronounce that, but she has her own Disney Plus show coming up, and she is also slated to be in the Captain Marvel sequel, The Marvels. So I will be shocked if she does not have a Awakening or a tier 3. So you could potentially actually get a full Inhuman team with her, with Black Bolt, and with Medusa. Speaking of Medusa, so she is another good one. So if you just have her base look, oh really, it's only 36? That's not bad. If you have her uniform, it is 45%. This is all universals. So herself, Black Bolt, Odin, Thor, Beta Ray Bill, all of them. Plus, she also gives a good support buff to other Inhuman types. So her and Black Bolt together have very good damage increases. Another one, and I actually forgot to mention him. This is very niche, but it is worth mentioning. Lincoln Campbell. Yes, he is terrible on his own. However, increased lightning damage by 60%. So if you want a free-to-play team, put Iron Hammer with him. Iron Hammer can do a lot with that. If you wanted a better team, you can put him with Thor. Now, Beta Ray Bill has the same leadership, 60% to lightning damage, but Beta Ray Bill is a native tier 2. He's through the Epic Quest. It is going to require tier 3 materials and books to get through it. He's not the most free-to-play friendly. He's good, but if you're on a budget, Lincoln works as a good leadership. Titania is I believe a 50% increase physical attack, but only for combat types, unfortunately. Let's see, who else do we have? So Cyclops, I have mentioned him in a previous video. He is absolutely best with his Phoenix 5 uniform. However, if you are using his base look, if you do not have the crystals to get his uniform, you can still get some use out of him. Not as much, but he still does have those supports. So here it's 25-25, where this one is 35-25. And his passive, 10% increase. Now with his Phoenix 5 uniform, it's a 30% increase. So obviously that one is better, but do what you can. Thing just has a very good passive for other Fantastic Four allies. It gets better with his latest uniform, but he has it on his base kit. Hulkbuster is an interesting one. I didn't even realize this until he got his uniform. First of all, If you have the crystals to get his uniform, he becomes amazing for Iron Man. He gets 35% increase to all attacks. Anybody, doesn't matter who type, uh, the typing, hero, villain, doesn't matter. But if you're Iron Man, he also gives you that additional 70%. Now, if you don't have that and you just have his base look, or this one, which is again available for gold, it's 24%, which is not great. But if I was new to the game, I would consider building him up to tier 2, just simply because if I were to get his uniform in the future, then he becomes a much, much stronger character. Additionally, Technokinetic allies, he also gives an HP boost. And Technokinetic allies are your machine types. Not a long list, but you have Iron Man, you have Vision, who with this uniform is very good. You have War Machine, who again we think is going, well, I don't necessarily think that he's going to be amazing, but I do think that he's going to be good. Plus, when War Machine does get his new uniform, he'll also get a damage increase. So he's going to have his leadership still, that's not changing, but that is definitely going to go up. So I'm actually very anxious to see a team up with Hulkbuster lead, Iron Man as the main damage dealer, and then War Machine as the support. I think Iron Man is going to completely go in sicko mode. Let's see. I have a list here that I'm working off of. So Wiccan is another one that he does have a leadership, but honestly, there are better options. I think his is another 30%, but I really would just build somebody else, somebody who has more potential. Cersei, she has a passive for Eternals specifically. Where are you? There you are. This is more, oh no, I did not mean to do that. This is more of a future investment because we have the Eternals movie coming out in November. We already have Icarus in the game, who is premium. We have Hyperion in the game, who's also premium. But we know that there's going to be more characters to come. And for all... Wait, really? Removes all debuffs. Hold on, I could swear she had more. There it is. So increase to all attacks. So we know that there will be more Eternals added to the game. This is August right now. They are coming soon. So her passive will actually be very good for them. Another one, Angel / Archangel is good, but he's actually more of a PvP oriented leadership. Debuffs have to do with, like, if Doctor Strange were to try to time freeze you, for example, that debuff ignores it. So that's what those debuffs are talking about. I know I forgot someone here. Taskmaster. Taskmaster is one of those that I 100% recommend getting this uniform. But if you don't, it'd be nice if these buttons would work. For Weapon Master allies, so you have Moon Knight, you have Deadpool, you have Winter Soldier, you have Wolverine. There's a lot of Weapon Master characters. I realize that a couple of them are not meta breaking that I just mentioned, but it's actually a pretty wide range. He increases critical rate, dodge rate, skill damage, and bonus damage. Don't believe he really has much else. Oh, wait. Dodge rate, that doesn't. 6% doesn't do much. But if you get his uniform, his uniform effect, increased damage to heroes and villains, they really should just say all, by 40%, which is really good. This makes him a great leadership, great support for anyone. He himself is a standalone character. He could be better, although I do know a guy who I think he's like a top 10 ranked Taskmaster. Shout out to Aiden. Um, he has a rage on it, and he can do pretty well with it. Plus, Taskmaster now has a tier 3 available, which means that you can use him as a support type in all game modes. And Dr. Voodoo is another one. Voodoo is mostly just because he also has the debuff increase leadership. So when I'm playing with him in World Boss, so I mentioned this in a previous video, Deadpool has all defense down up to like 80%. He increases all debuffs by up to 40%. So that means that if you use him as a lead and then Deadpool, well, I use Holiday Lady Deadpool, but I believe the new little Mafia suits work too. You can get 100% all defense down. And at that point, Deadpool just runs right through them. You can clear... Right now I'm up to 69 Call Obsidian. I could go higher, it's just that World Boss Legend has been more important to me. But Deadpool can rip through that in like a minute, like under 60 seconds. So that is actually everybody on my list for... Oh, Ronin. Last one. And we're not talking about Hawkeye Ronin. We're talking about Ronin the Accuser. If you do not have... Wait, is that uniform for gold now? It is. Okay, so I do have that. So if you don't have the crystals for his uniform, that's okay. He gives 36-36. Does it change here? 36-36. But if you have his uniform, it goes up to 50-36. This is a good leadership. Obviously, it's better if you can get his Captain Marvel uniform, but if you can just build him up on his own, he's still not bad. And I probably should have included him on my free-to-play friendly list, because I'm pretty sure he can clear low-level Shadowlands on his own. I'm pretty sure I've done it before. I haven't used him in a long time, but he is good for that reason. So that, I think, wraps up my list. But so some of the main ones that I really want to point out. So there is Shuri. I don't think I actually went to her character. Oh geez, we're at 27 minutes. Okay, I gotta wrap this up. So she has increased damage to supervillains. Oh, and actually, you know what? Hela. If you get this uniform, because I don't believe it's on her base kit, she actually gives increase to superheroes. Not by a whole lot, as you can see, it's only 15%, but it is still something, and it's very unique. Nobody does that. So she can work as a support in World Boss for Cable, Scarlet Witch, and Quicksilver. So I just wanted to go ahead and point that out. I really thought that was higher than 15%. Oh, she also has increased energy attack. Is that on her base? It is. Okay. So she's a good leadership too. So I definitely should have kept her on this list. So I'm going to go ahead and stop here. We're at 29 minutes. I do want to thank you guys for watching. One more thing I do want to mention before you go, and this is more of just a notable mention. He has been trashed since I started the game. I don't know that he will ever get a rework, at least not in the foreseeable future. But if he does, believe it or not, Whiplash might actually be a hard counter to someone like Iron Man, because he has increased damage dealt to machine type characters. So everybody I just showed you, Vision, War Machine, Hulkbuster, Iron Man, he would actually he would deal more damage to them. I wouldn't try him right now, he's absolutely terrible, but if he ever does get a rework, he could be good. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I apologize. I know that this was a long video. I had a long list, and maybe I should have organized my thoughts a little bit better beforehand. But thank you for watching if you're still with me. I'll put all my contact information below. I'm going to try to put the list below, but that's going to be a lot to type out. Yeah. But anyway, thank you, and you guys have a good one.